Are we live? Are we doing this?
We're always recording. We always do like a cold open, and then at some point
We'll just be like,
we'll just hit the intro.
Nice.
And we'll just go. Yeah.
I like that.
We ease in, we roll into it, and then all of a sudden, before you know it,
boom.
Hey friends, it's time for another new episode of the Two Clouded Mind Show with your favorite hosts, Chris.
I have a very caveman brain.
And Dave.
he's falling apart in front of our eyes.
Subscribe to the Two Clouded Mind Show on YouTube
See our pretty faces.
and everywhere you get your podcasts.
Two clouded minds. Two clouded minds. Two clouded. Come on.
Yes, now we are back, friends, but this is a special episode because this is like Two Clouded Minds X The Hive.
That's right. It's a collab. It's a crossover episode.
It's a crossover episode. Wow, that is a very official way to describe that. I like it. I like
Right.
it.
It's
it.
like when the members of the Brady Bunch started showing up on other programs.
Didn't they
You
like
know.
kick it with the Partridge
They
Family, or
used
was
to
that
do that-
two different eras?
You might be right.
No, wait. What about the one when Davy Jones showed up at the
That's what I'm
Brady
That's
saying.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you
That
go.
was-
The monkeys.
Yeah.
Oh, that-
The
Remember
golden
that?
age of
Yeah.
crossovers.
Yeah.
Fuck, we're old.
Right. But at least can relate to each other and know what we're all talking about.
Yeah.
It's not just
Yeah.
one person trying to get the other two to come along.
So like 80% of my audience right now is like, what the fuck are those people? What?
That's right. That's
Brady,
why.
what?
That's why.
When did they do the remake of the Brady Bunch? Because that's probably what they're thinking of.
The movies, right?
Yeah.
I want to say that wasn't like 2000, was
Yeah.
it?
No, that was around then. That was around when they did the Scooby Doo, that crap.
Yeah.
You know? Oh my God.
Tried to bring all that stuff back, but
Yeah.
to no avail.
That's when
No,
they
though.
started making Velma hot. They started realizing like Velma was the hot one, not Daphne.
They were trying to go for like the ginger thing.
Yeah.
You know. And again, a very small group of people understand what we just referenced.
Exactly.
Well, no, I'll tell you this. I was about to say the only time you see Velma now, and Velma's all the time on TikTok. Velma, girls dressed up as Velma on
Huge
TikTok,
cosplay thing.
very present, very today,
Really?
very much.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
And it's
So,
hot, dude.
The woman who played her, it was Hawkeye's wife in the Marvel movies.
Scarlett Johansson. Wait,
No, Hawkeye's
in the
wife.
Marvel movies.
In the Marvel
is
movie, the
Jeremy
wife.
Renner,
Yeah, his wife,
real life wife.
No, the wife when they were on the farm.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The wife on the farm.
She was
That was the girl who was the one with the glasses.
Velma.
Yeah, it was Velma. The girl who played Velma in the remake
Okay.
was Hawkeye's wife.
Gotcha.
Okay.
This is the value of having a 5 and a 10-year-old boy.
See, I've never really. I can say that I saw Avengers Endgame all the way through, and that's really all.
I can honestly
got
say when
for
Iron Man
superhero
died, my
movies.
son, I just sat there and held each other and cried.
Oh,
Yeah, that was tough.
We
It was
watched
tough.
the whole thing. Like we were like Iron Man 2, that was the movie. He was 4 or 5. We watched Iron Man 2 on repeat because you know how little kids watch everything on repeat.
Yeah, of
He
course.
just watched that movie over and over and over. I mean, I think he can quote the whole movie at this point.
that's awesome.
Yeah, they were very entertaining movies. Like
The
you're-
original ones. It's been so bad the last 2 years though.
Agreed.
Unwatchable.
Black Panther 3 was terrible. The Marvels, I didn't really love.
I didn't even go to that one. I didn't even waste
Yeah.
my time. Yo, Eternals. I got 15 minutes in and was like,
It was not good.
Really, that bad?
Eject. It was
You have-
terrible.
You have a unique ability to experience them all in the chronological order, which is fun.
Yeah.
And then you can like pick and choose, and you can be like, all right, I'm done watching now. Like when he's like when Tony Stark dies, whenever like that's because it's going to be hard for the Marvel franchise, I think, to continue because they killed off or got rid of like all their biggest stars. You know, the new Marvel lineup doesn't have as much appeal in my
So
opinion.
my son and I, when like we always do this together because we're always nervous. We're like, are people going to get mad at us for the conversation we're about to have? But they keep replacing strong male characters with females,
Mhm.
Okay.
which kind of annoying. If you're a comic book dork like my son and I are, we're like, why is the Taskmaster a woman? The Taskmaster was not a woman. Why are they making the male characters kind of goofy and the women like strong and smart and save the day now? It's like, it's weird. They're shifting. They're playing that social politic game, and I think it turns off a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm all about, you know, the fact that you're trying to get honest representation, but it gets weird when you start taking traditional characters. I know, you know, they're trying to 2024 them, but you lose the
they're-
essence of what the character was.
It's like they're like trying to really crowbar it in. And
Yeah,
It's not
feels
natural. It's not natural.
Yeah.
Like Black Widow's an awesome character. I mean, it doesn't matter man or woman. That character just is played well. That the right actress, the right part. When you see that they're just trying to smash somebody into a role,
right?
You know, I'm like, oh, come on. My favorite virtue signaling character of all is the girl from Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Did you see the girl?
I've seen the movie.
Okay.
Which girl?
The girl that was Doctor Strange, like grabbed her, and she's the one that was jumping through all the different.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So she's clearly Mexican. She has two moms. She has the LGBTQ pin on her. Her name is America.
Yes.
And her superpower is crossing borders.
Interesting.
You just broke my brain.
I was like, you cram into it. It's like
That's pretty funny.
female, raised by two women, LGBT flag, Latin, ability to cross borders. That's your superpower.
That's
pretty
great.
funny.
Oh, America Ferrara.
And the
or
name is
whatever?
America.
No, that's a real person's name.
Yeah, but this
Oh, okay.
character's name was
Characters.
America.
Oh, okay.
And she was a good character, but they added all this stuff to it, and it's kind of like, come on,
they
man,
didn't
it's
need
an
to
eye
do-
roll.
Yeah,
They have to make it super contemporary and super, like, you know, in touch with all the different things. Yeah, I get you. Now,
See, I'm a parent. I look at it in a particular way because for me, I'm like, okay, these movies, they're not just for kids, but a lot of kids watch these movies, and I understand you want to be contemporary with your topics and stuff. I'm my children and I, we have very open dialogues about stuff. We don't have any problems talking about stuff. But I feel that I think it's not fair to a parent that has maybe different viewpoints that gets blindsided by these kinds of things. So, I mean, I'm an agnostic. I'm not a religious person. I don't really care what you want to do. But when it comes, but it's like, have some responsibility with your freedom there. Like, make sure that you're being respectful of all the audience, because I feel like in a lot of ways they're trying to tell children that their parents are not open-minded enough, and that's not your job. Your job's to entertain us. You're not supposed to educate me in a Marvel movie.
yeah, I think the point I was going to bring
Fair.
up, and it's what very well said. The point I was going to bring up was that we were talking. Well, 2 points was one that we're not parents, so we have to look at it, or we can't look at it the same viewpoint as you. And the other is that depending on how, I guess, political you are, or how in tune with these matters of today you are, that's where the things they come more to the forefront. And you're like, hey, why do we need these statements made in the Marvel movies when they could be made in other venues?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
There's much better formats to talk about it. And I think that the speed in which we're talking about stuff is accelerating right now. I think we're having a lot of conversations about a lot of topics that 10 years ago we wouldn't talk about. And people are like, oh, 10 years ago, that's a long time. No, 10 years is not a long time. 10 years is a blink.
That's
It's a
true.
blink.
Yeah.
And we're speeding up the conversation, and we're losing control over, I don't know, who's going to be responsible, I guess. And it gets weird. It just gets weird. I personally don't care, but I know a lot of people who do, and I feel bad that they're kind of forced to have conversations they don't want to have at certain times.
And to circle back with the whole, like, the thing in the Marvel movie where, like, her superpower is that she's raised by two. Like, they're doing that because it's a bigger audience. You know, they have all these kids now, and
but they're going
it's not just the media. It's like they have a bigger audience now.
But when
to
we
throw
had
it down our throats.
But when we had Disney Plus was pushing out the original Avenger movies up through Endgame, they skyrocketed. They were the prime example of how you're supposed to do streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started to get a little political, and then they started to get a little risky with their topics, and their growth. I think they're shrinking right now. I don't think they're growing. The stock at Disney is not doing well. Like, Disney as a company is not what it was.
Yeah, the Marvel
before
franchise
they got
is
into
not
this.
nearly as strong as it used to be. It's taken a
okay.
turn. Yeah,
The Marvels, did they even make the money that they spent on making it?
I doubt it.
I don't even-
I only heard negative things about it. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a fun watch. You know what I mean? It was a fun watch if you knew what you were going to watch, and that's fine. But it wasn't like, wow, this is another great Marvel movie that, you know, as you mentioned, there hasn't been a really great Marvel movie that's come out in
Watch
several
She-Hulk?
years. No.
It was unwatchable.
No.
I got 3 episodes in. I was like,
Really?
and that one, there was no politics in that. It was just terrible. I was like, they tried to make it like an Ally McBeal knockoff. I was like, what is this shit? This is terrible. It
This
was terrible.
this train is brought to you by Bad Movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go check them out.
right or
Educate
don't
yourself.
or don't, you know, watch them. I think my advice to if I was going to wrap the put a bow on this conversation is to watch them in chronological order
Yes.
until Endgame, until, you know, that final and then stop watching them. You know, it's similar to like if you tell somebody to watch Game of Thrones. I don't know if you ever watched Game of Thrones, Brian.
You know, the funny part is I've never, okay, I'm going to blow your mind.
Go ahead.
I've never watched an episode of The Simpsons.
Oh,
Simpsons.
The Simpsons.
Oh, okay,
Never.
okay.
Yeah, you broke
Simpsons?
my brain.
That's my time. That's my time.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
That was high school and college. I never watched it.
okay.
That was like like South Park for us.
Yeah.
For him.
Sort of, yeah.
I watched Eek the Cat and Ren and Stimpy, though.
Ren and Stimpy
Ren
was
and
great.
Stimpy was even when they rebooted it, it was great. It was so good.
I cut you off, though. You were saying that after Endgame, stop. I'm of a differing opinion. I think you should watch them all so you could actually see how politics, economics, and weirdness can fuck something up. I think
Okay.
you should watch them all so you could see how they lost it. Okay, do you like the Russo brothers? You ever watch their movies?
I don't know who
Did you
they
wa-
are well enough to know what
did-
movies they make.
Did you watch Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I did watch
Love
that
that
recently.
movie.
I did watch
Okay,
it recently.
that was the
I
Russo
loved
brothers.
that movie.
They did that.
It was good.
Did you watch Extraction too?
No.
Did not.
All right, that was awesome. That's another Russo brother movie. If you watch a Russo's brother movie now you're like, oh, I get it. They left after Endgame.
Oh, is that okay? They were part
This
of the
was
team.
not a Kevin Feige thing. This was the Russo brothers.
Interesting.
They're amazing.
That's cool.
They are master storytellers. They did the Winter Soldier, the Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Very good.
That was such a good story.
It was good. Yep.
It was just well done, and they have certain camera techniques other people don't use, and yeah, I feel that Marvel losing them is where they lost the power because they lost the creativity in the process at that point. And then there was too much CGI, and it just storytelling got weak, and yeah.
And I think that, you know, and again, a lot of their best characters, their main characters, are no longer part of the franchise anymore. So I think that loses a lot of it too. At least certainly lost me.
Yeah, and then they're bringing in, but again, then okay, so was it Miss Marvel?
Yep.
So they bring Miss Marvel in, is like a Pakistani girl from Jersey City,
Right.
you know, and she doesn't shapeshift like the comic, and she loses the oomph that the comic had.
Mhm.
And she was like a minor character. And then Ironheart was a comic that I think they made 4 or 5 issues of it, and then it went bankrupt. Like literally no one bought it. No one cared. And they're trying to make that the replacement for Iron Man.
Hmm.
So again,
Using a failed character to replace a character, it doesn't sound like a good idea.
and they're only doing it because it checks the box of, you know, we're being socially responsible.
I thought when Thanos snapped and killed everybody, Doctor Strange went back and undid the snap.
He did,
and they
but
brought
still,
everybody back.
some people did still end up dying
Oh,
for different
okay.
reasons. for
Yeah,
different-
yeah. They actually
Yeah.
died, not from the snap. They didn't
Right.
disappear by like.
So do you
title.
think once, like, is Marvel going to just stop making movies and like just stick to making series now? Have they run out of
No, they're
ideas?
they're getting
Like,
killed on the series too. They just
Yeah.
they
I
just
think they're just
debuted
gonna have to shut it
Echo,
down.
and I think Star Wars is going to take over. To be honest, for Disney, Star Wars is doing great.
That makes more sense. Yeah, like the Marvel
Well, they're
Cinematic
still
Universe
making
is just
those,
going to end
right?
up kind of wind down, and that'll be the end of that.
You know, it's really funny because we're talking about the you know how they're bringing social issues in. So, did you watch Andor?
Andor. No, that's the series, right?
Yeah,
No,
that
but
was
I'm aware
actually.
of it. I'm aware
If
of
you
it.
watch Andor, ignore it being Star Wars and just look at it as an independent show in this world. It's a great show. It didn't have to be Star Wars. It held up, and that's a prime example. There's a bunch of gay characters in it, and there's a bunch of diversity in it, and it just worked. And you didn't care. You weren't like, oh, they're obviously doing that thing again. It was just part of it, and it was well done, and it had there was no contrived meaning. It was just part of the story, and it worked. And that's where I feel like Star Wars gets it a little bit better than Marvel does in terms of the studios, how they're trying to approach issues. Where Marvel, it's just so blatantly like, we're just trying to do this thing because we're trying to capture this and we want to be responsible that way and, whatever. Where Star Wars, like, we're just going to tell good stories and these characters are just going to all fit in together.
Right on.
And that's where I don't, like, if you do it right and you make it human, I think we're good.
Yeah. Yeah. When it feels forced and it feels fake. And that's I think what we're touching on.
Like if you have a gay friend, they don't walk into your house and go, "I'm gay."
Right. Hi.
Oh,
Dick.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what a lot of this stuff feels like. You can't have an honest relationship with the character because you're just trying to like jam this bullshit down your throat that they're adding onto it. It's like character's strong enough. They just happen to be that instead of making that like a statement.
Yeah. Yeah.
See the Barbie movie?
Ooh.
So my wife during Christmas, like, I'm gonna watch it. I couldn't do it, man. I got like 5 minutes in and was like, this is hard. I can't do it.
Go ahead, Chris.
You like
Whatever.
it? Did you like it?
No, he
He's
didn't
probably-
like it. He loved it.
I'm not gonna make fun of you. I don't care.
You sure?
It's cool.
I cried at the end. It got me. It gave me the chin wobbles, like fully.
You do smoke a lot of weed. So.
I do. I smoke a lot of weed. But no, like, get past the musical aspect of it because there was a lot of singing numbers and stuff. It was a good story. Like, there was a good message.
I don't know. Nothing pulled me into it.
Yeah.
And I didn't come into it, oh my God, it's a pink world. I was open to it. I didn't care. And I was just like, I don't know. It was weird too. Like the male characters were like awkward to me the way they were played and stuff.
Yeah. They kind of, everybody kind of like moved like a doll. It was weird. They kind of were like, the male characters were like all NPCs and like,
Yeah.
it was weird.
I just couldn't. It just didn't. It didn't grab my attention.
It was weird, but as a message, it was good.
What was the message?
Barbie, raw,
Like
strong
the whole
message.
like patriarchy and matriarchy thing. Dude, I'm not good at me on the spot.
You know, the matriarchy thing and the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
you know
it
what I
is.
mean.
Yeah.
You know,
How it
dude,
is.
don't do this.
Yeah.
to me. Don't
The
do
mamas
this to
and the
me.
papas. Let's
Don't-
go.
don't do this
Let's
to
not
me.
use big words.
Yeah,
Let's
please
not
don't.
use big words.
Because I still, every time I say those two words, I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying them right there. I'm not confident.
I hope no one asks us to elaborate on.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
no,
God.
because I'm going to tell you, nope, let's move on. Let's move on.
Oh boy.
So speaking of moving on, let's sort of like start now back at the beginning, right? Brian,
Yes.
welcome to the Two Clouded Mind Show. Brian is the owner, operator, proprietor of the
Killer Bee Combat Sports Academy.
Killer Bee Combat Sports Academy.
Yes.
Okay, so now, I mean, let's make believe that I don't know your past history, and our fans, our people don't know your past history, kind of how you got into this, what your background is. Just like, you know, in as quickly or as long as you feel that you'd like to explain, like, what's your background? How did you get into this whole combat sports?
Yeah,
thing?
that's kind of what I was going to do. I was going to like ask the same roundabout question, but like you're always, you know, interviewing and talking to everybody and giving such solid killer advice all the time. We want to hear your story.
Yeah,
man.
what's your
you know,
origin story?
It's really funny. When I'll tell the story, but it's a weird thing here. So when I was younger, it was important for me that people would want to know my story.
Mm-hmm.
And the longer I'm doing it, the less I really give a shit about my story. And I care more about what the community at Killer Bee does now.
Mm-hmm.
But our history is important. But, you know, when I felt like my like jumping the shark moment, another crazy throwback there. My jumping the shark moment was when consistently members were asking me like, hey, did you ever fight? That's when I feel like, oh, I really, really, really am a valuable person in this community now because they're not here to have proximity to this fighter dude.
Mm-hmm.
They really look at me as the coach with the knowledge. It
Right.
wasn't like, oh, a cool relationship. It was like, no, he's the coach with the knowledge.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing for me. But let's put that all the way back to the beginning. So the crazy part is I will be 50 in March, and I will be running an academy now for 26. It's 26 years in March. Yeah, last year was our 25th. This March will be my 26th anniversary. I actually started training in 1980 when I was 6 years old. So I wasn't doing enough things, and my parents were like, "You need to do something. What do you want to do?" And I watched a lot of Kung Fu theater. The Big Apple movie was my favorite thing in the whole world. I used to dress up like I was some like Shaolin monk and run around my house.
That's awesome.
And like my mom had a robe that had Japanese characters on it, and I used to wear it and think I was a samurai. And they just run around. It's really
That's
funny.
badass.
Yeah, I would go out, get a stick, and put a robe on, and she'd get mad at me because I got it all fucked up. But they were like, "Yo, you got to do something." Because, I played soccer, played a little bit of baseball, but there was a lot of time in between, too much TV. So it's like, you got to do something. So I said, I want to do this thing from these Kung Fu movies, whatever. They literally opened up the Atlanticville, the newspaper.
Okay.
Opened it up. You remember the Atlanticville?
Nah.
You know the link? You
The
ever see
place where
link?
the
You ever see the link? The
stadium?
No, the paper, the link.
Oh no.
It's a free paper around town. The Atlanticville was like the original one. And my dad opened it up and he said, "There's a karate school." Called them and they said, "Saturday, come in." We showed up on a Saturday at the Italian American Association in Long Branch. And I
Instantly fell in love.
Well, it wasn't even like instantly fell in love, just started training. And you got to remember, it's 1980. It's not today. Today you have kids classes, adult classes, and everything separate. I came into this really fringe, really not known thing. No adult class, kid class separation. Everybody trained together. I was 6 years old, and they just brought me in. We trained on a tile floor. If you fell, it hurt like a motherfucker.
Oh my God.
And just started training. And I excelled technically quickly. Like I understood the mechanics quickly. That's never left me. That was always just a thing when I was young. I could see it. And yeah, I started doing traditional karate. And then did that up until high school. And then I ran into a guy who knew Muay Thai, and he was telling me how badass Muay Thai is. And I was this karate zealot. I had no idea. And I was like, "No, my karate is better than your Muay Thai." And the guy kicked me in the leg, and I thought he knocked my leg off. And I was like, I've never felt anything that painful in my entire life. And then I started training with him. Before that, I'll do a funny story. I'm in like 7th grade. And again, I think I'm a karate badass. And my friend does judo at the time. And we got into a fight. And he threw me. And he held me down. And he didn't know what to do because all they taught him was throwing pins. So he threw me and he held me. And I was like, "If I don't hit you when we get up, can you show me how you did that?" And he was like, "Just don't hit me." And I was like, "Okay." And then we got up and he was like, "What was that you did?" I was like, "I did karate." And I was like, "What was that you did?" And he goes, "I did judo." And I was like, "Holy shit, that was really cool." Like, and he was like, "Will you show me how to hit stuff?" I was like, "Will you show me how to like throw something like that?" And then so then I started to play with grappling. So then grappling kind of became something I played around with a little bit. And I went to a couple different judo clubs and different stuff when I was younger too, but karate was my primary thing. Judo was something that I played with. And then I got into Muay Thai. And I was competitive in karate. I've always been competitive. I like challenging myself. And then I started kickboxing. Straight out of high school, I started kickboxing. I went to the Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore. So I moved from Jersey down to Baltimore, and I started fighting on local club stuff they had down there. There were kickboxing cards. I'm fighting. I made a little bit of money to help pay some bills. I put myself through college and stuff. So doing that. And then, I'm just kind of bombing around college. I got up to where I almost finished college, and I got a call from a friend, and he was like, "Hey man, do you want to go fight overseas?" And I was like, "Sure. I'd love to do that. I'm really miserable down here." So I hopped on a plane. I went to Greece, and I fought in Athens. Fought a guy that they call Hercules. He's the reason my teeth don't touch.
Oh.
That was my first jawbreak.
That's the poster you have in the gym, right?
No, that's a different one. So I go overseas, I fight, and I was like, Europe's great. I like it. I like this traveling thing. I like this fighting thing. I like getting paid. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go back. I'm not going back to school. And I just came back, packed up my stuff, moved back up to Jersey, ran into my old karate instructor that I started with in 1980. And she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm really just kind of bombing around right now. And she's like, come back to the school. So I started teaching at that school. I'm still doing my own thing. So I'm teaching karate, but I'm fighting in kickboxing. I took some MMA fights. I'm doing everything. It's wild. And at one point, it just got to a point where what they wanted and what I wanted was different. And it's 1998. I'm 24 years old. I said, you know what? I've been around the world a bunch of times. I've fought in like 10 countries at that point. I've got a ton of fights now, all this experience. And I just was like, you know what? Nobody's got the experience I've got. Nobody can bring the vibe that I've got. Nobody's trying to achieve what I want to achieve. I was like, I'm just going to open up my own thing. So in March of 1998, I opened up my first academy. And from there, I kept fighting. I fought up until I was 40, but I started training people, and then we developed a team. And as the sport, as the world started to make progress with MMA, there was more opportunities for what we were doing already. And then we just kind of evolved with everything. And yeah, it's just this wild ride. And there's so many things I'm not talking about in terms of training and whatnot. I'm living in Europe. I'm living in Japan. I'm training with, some of the top players in the game at the time. I really put the time in to have the audacity at 24 to say, I want to do this. Because, I trained in Holland. I was training in Switzerland. I trained in Osaka, Japan. I traveled around the country. I had a lot of fights. I really put the time in. And this is the pre-internet era. This was Black Belt Magazine. My heroes are in there. I've always had this weird... I've never felt a separation between people. Do you know when you watch TV or you watch a movie and you see somebody so we're talking about Marvel. If Robert Downey Jr. walked in, there would be no, oh my God, it's Robert Downey in me. I don't have this. I don't know what it is. I don't get starstruck.
Yeah.
And I don't feel a separation. Like a lot of people feel if someone's on TV, they're special and it's different and you don't have access.
No.
I read a book in high school. We had to read a book called The Tracker, and it was by this guy, Tom Brown. And I was like blown away. Love the book. Freshman year of reading. And someone said, Tom lives in New Jersey. I got a Yellow Pages out. And I went through the White Pages. I called every Tom Brown in the White Pages until I got him.
Oh, wow.
And then the guy goes, do you know John Young? I said, that's my biology teacher. He goes, that's my best friend. Talk to John. He'll introduce us. And then I ended up meeting the guy, and then I started hanging out with the dude. It was wild. But weird thing, like I would watch a fight, and then I'll call the promoter and be like, hey, I'm a dude from Ocean. I want to get involved. What do I do? And then they would give me advice. They'd be like, go fight. Go talk to this guy. Fight that guy. Do this, do that. And because I was doing those things, 1999, I'm fighting in Jersey City in this event. And after the fight, this guy, Arnie Solidel, comes up to me. And he goes, hey, I'm Arnie Solidel. I'm like, I know you. You're the guy who fought in Shidokon, which was this crazy thing on ESPN at the time. And he was like, yeah, I'm actually the recruiter for K1 and Andy Hoog's fight team. I want to take you to dinner and I want to talk shop, which led for me. Then I was involved in K1, and then I went going to Switzerland, and then I was going to Japan. I fought in the All Japan, and I'm training with this guy who is this dude I saw on TV that was a murderer, and he opened up a school in Long Island. I'm training with him. It's just wild. This whole ride it's this crazy thing. I can't really get into all the details. I'll have to write them all down chronologically one day. But basically my story is that lack of separation always gave me the ability to take on a variety of challenges. And I always found value in these challenges that I wanted to share with other people, which led me to start my own thing. And that's always been the thing. I've always just wanted to keep developing a group. The intentions, I think, have always been the same, but the practice has evolved. I've become way more humble. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've fucked up every way you could possibly fuck up when it comes to money and people and things. And, get married, have kids. Don't like losing money when you're trying to do something. You want to actually make money, you learn, you figure shit out. And so at 50 years old, 26 years deep, I look back and I could smile at all the good times and the bad times and the hard times because I'm really happy to sit here and say I'm a representative of Killer Bee Combat Sports, and have a great group of people, and yeah, we do really cool things.
It's an awesome gym.
I
mean,
appreciate that.
I haven't been to many fight gyms. It's safe to say it's a fight gym, right? I mean, is there a better term? I mean, obviously combat sports.
Listen, I'm a martial artist.
Mhm.
I'm a martial arts school. I started in karate. I think in my core, I will
Dojo.
always be a karate person. I don't like the word dojo. It's really funny. I don't like, oh my God, I don't even know how I'm going to explain this, but I'm at a point, like I don't like titles.
Mm.
I don't like I feel that there's a massive misuse of language. Okay, so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they use the term, they use English when it's appropriate, where they use the word between Portuguese and English. They switch depending on which is going to give them the most authority. So they use the word professor instead of instructor, because professor has a higher connotation in English, but a basic connotation in Portuguese. So here you say professor, a professor. They think of like a college professor.
Yeah,
You're
or like a
you're
doctor or
highly
something.
educated person. No, they're not. They're a jiu-jitsu instructor.
Okay.
So like you're a teacher. So for me, like sensei, shihan, dojo, all these things, these are words that people say, oh, I'm being traditional. No, you're really trying to differentiate yourself in a way to give you some authority in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the terms we use should be giving us authority. I think it's the value that we provide that should give us authority and the actual knowledge we know. It doesn't matter that I can say things in Japanese. It doesn't mean I can do them right or wrong. It just means I can describe them in different ways. And I don't like to play with the descriptions. I'm in America. I'm going to speak in English. I'm going to tell it to you like it is. That's just kind of a point that I've evolved to. I don't know. That's just a weird side note of these things.
No,
Because like,
I
if you
respect it.
ask like, what am I? It's hard. Like someone said to me the other day, what do you do? And I was like, I'm a martial artist, but I think the main thing we do is we teach people how to not quit when they care about something.
I mean, you wear many hats: father, husband, mentor, coach, businessman. I mean, so you just run the gamut.
You got to be, you get to a point where you have to you have to be yourself. It's always that value thing.
Mhm.
So as long as I stay within my lane and I'm myself, it allows me to do all those things because I don't really feel like I'm really diversifying. I'm just doing me. I'm just applying my skills in different arenas,
Yeah,
but I know what my skills are.
I got it.
And I play with my skills in a lot of different arenas. That's why. So Killer Bee, what is it? It's a combat sports academy. It's a martial arts school. It's a place. See, when you say fight, that eliminates a large audience. That scares a lot of people away.
You're right. Yeah.
Like 51-year-old Mike, who has zero experience, that joined yesterday, didn't join to be in the UFC. He joined to get in shape and feel stronger, feel better about himself. The vast majority of our members are people that just want to do something that they know is authentic with people they can trust, and they want to get what they want to get out of it. So we are a very unique environment. I know we're a unique environment.
Yeah.
This is not the norm.
How does somebody like when somebody was to join, let's say 51-year-old Mike or whatever the case may be, how does somebody progress through your program or such? Like how does the program look?
Okay, so I'm not going to say look. I mean, we have a very specific curriculum of work. We have a body of work.
System.
We don't have a belt system. We have a hand-me-down system. We have my number one rule is if someone is standing in front of you with less experience, be for them what you wanted when you were in their shoes. Because we have to break that cycle that a lot of people go through. So I have a guy, Alabama Matt. Alabama Matt comes from a Krav Maga school in New York City that had a very rigid belt system. And if you're a belt lower than somebody, so if you're a white belt and you're going with, say, a blue belt, a blue belt would be like 2 belts ahead of them. This actually happened to him. He's a white belt going with someone a higher rank. He's actually doing well with the guy. So the guy kind of cheap shots him and then hurts him bad. And then everyone's like, yeah, you shouldn't have fucked with the blue belt. You're only a white belt. And I'm like, what the fuck kind of hazing bullshit is this?
Yeah,
but I went through this. That's why I left and opened up my own school, is because I had to go through that shit too. Because people start to want to get back what was done to them instead of making things better for people. They're like, well, I got treated like shit, so I'm going to treat them like shit. And then they convince themselves like, oh, I'm just making them tough. Like that made me. No, you were made weak. You were turned into a bully. Now you're bullying other people. Then you're encouraging them to bully more people because you're trying to feel better about the bullying you just did. Like it's this crazy cycle of bullshit.
Yeah.
And I had to get rid of it. So I obliterated the belt system. And I just said, yo, did you like being treated like shit? No, don't treat other people like shit. You wanted someone to take you by the hand and say, hey, man, let me help you. So if you're new, you walk into my school, you sign up, you're at as my UFC guys. And those guys are going to come up to you and be like, I know you're scared. I know you don't know anything. I'm going to help you. And then you got to reframe it because the person that's new says, oh, I don't want to hold anyone back. And I'm like, yo, you're not holding anybody back. You're giving us an opportunity to share what we know. So we have to learn how to express it. We have to make sure that we really know it. And we have to care about this thing together. And it's going to work now. And that's why we grow. And that's why you can come into any class and you don't have to be, you may be a little nervous. You might be a little intimidated. But once you get going, you realize like, no, everybody just wants you to do better.
But that's the thing. That's another thing I wanted to mention. Like when you first walk in that side door, yes, there's a little bit of that nervous thing. But within the first 5 minutes, you feel that community. You feel
the good energy.
Yes. Like everybody in there is such a good person in their own way. And everybody.
Or they're trying to be.
Yeah. But like.
You've fostered an environment where they'd rather be that way or where everybody feels that
if you're not,
they
go
feel
away.
responsible to be that.
If you don't understand that the goal here is to be a better human and to create community, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
If you come in and you're selfish and you're doing this just for you and you want to do your own thing, get the fuck out.
There's a different gym for that person.
Yeah. Go to the ego-driven places. Go to the hype places. You're not going to get hype here. I have a guy right now who's a phenomenal athlete, and he was asking me something like, oh, when am I ever going to be able to punch like this guy? And I'm like, I don't know if you ever will. And he was like, what? And I'm like, yo, no offense. I'm being honest with you. Understand your skill set.
Yeah.
Understand that in MMA, with your skill set, your age, the amount of time you have, you're probably going to fall into here. You may want that, but that's kind of like the actor who wants to be a singer, you know? Like, you are what you are. Be yourself as effectively as possible and learn how to be comfortable in your skin. That's the overall message. I mean, look, we're all going to eat shit at some point. I mean, even with how many podcasts deep are you guys now?
138.
Okay. So you're still grinding it, right? You're still trying to get your legs under. You got to eat shit for a while.
Yeah.
Like you got to take it on the chin, but you love it. So you keep going and the audience grows and then it becomes infectious and things happen over time.
Yeah.
But if you quit, it doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
And then you guys don't have the opportunity anymore. You know, you guys, I see you both. I don't see you much outside of here, but I've seen you outside of here.
Yeah.
This is your happy place.
Yeah.
Like, why would you give this up?
I never want to lose this or give this up.
So everything we do is to kind of find the confidence and the strength to keep us in these positions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the main thing. Like I push with fighters a lot. I'm like, yo, when you're in the last round and the dude's on top of you and you're taking elbows to the head, why are you going to keep going? Like where's your why? Like, why are you doing this? You want to be famous? You're going to quit. You want to make a lot of money? You're going to quit. You actually love it. You enjoy it. You feel passionately about it. It connects you in a different way. You represent something to yourself, to other people. These are the things that push you through. Those are the things that make you keep going when, you know, it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything sucks at some point, and that's why I like fighting, because it teaches you how to just deal with the fact that, you know, that's kind of the norm.
Right. Getting punched in the face isn't the end of the world.
It's not.
I was scared to death of it before I met you and Hayden. And then when Hayden actually brought me in, and then he ran me through that small little mini camp, and then I did the camp with you.
Yep.
Like, I really, really, really enjoy it. I'm not any good, but I enjoyed it.
Okay, but here's the thing. You say I'm not really good and I enjoyed it. So the goal is not to be the best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to be your best.
Yeah.
And if your best makes you the best in the world, fantastic.
Of course. Yeah.
So you can't don't worry about being judgmental and being like, oh, I'm not good. According to what standard? According to your standard,
Right,
you're
you're
fucking
only-
phenomenal,
You're
man.
comparing.
You know what I
right,
mean?
Yeah.
Only by comparison would you say that you're not good. Only by comparing somebody to somebody else. You know,
Yeah.
you just have to compare yourself
But
to where you started
But
out.
to the who you were when you fucking started
Yeah.
to where
that's
you
what
are
I'm saying.
now,
Yeah.
that's like, holy shit, bro.
You got me the healthiest I've been in my adult life, the best shape I've been in my adult life. So, yeah.
I got a question. So if somebody was to start fresh,
Uh-huh.
doesn't matter necessarily what age. Well, I have two questions. Okay.
Sure.
How old is, first question, when you first start fresh,
Yes.
how long the average person before they're like ready for a competitive fight?
that's
Very, very.
you're ready when you're ready because everybody's got their own baggage.
What do you like somebody to know before you put them into a competitive fight?
You've got to be sparring consistently, and you have to demonstrate the ability to execute under pressure. You have to be
Okay.
coachable under pressure. Like, I've got to get you to that point where we have the ability, while someone's trying to fuck you up,
To stay calm.
to not even just stay calm, but to stay coachable
Okay.
so that we can have a communicative relationship under pressure. So like when I tell you, because when you're in there, you know this, what you think's happening is nothing what you see on the tape.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back at it, you're like, I don't remember any of this. I thought I caught him with that one. Oh, I thought I looked a lot better than that. What the fuck? Like, you got to
Weird.
watch it.
It's
The
weird.
first time you watch it, you're like, I am the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen ever. And then a couple times you're like, all right, I'm not that bad. All right, I can live with it. Or maybe you can't. I don't know. But it's like this weird process. So having someone like me in your corner, if you can trust me, when I tell you you're doing good, you know you are. And you know when I tell you you're doing bad, I'm going to say, look, this isn't working. We need to adjust. You'll trust me and you'll actually try and make the adjustments. If we can maintain that, now you have the ability to fight, because when you're in there and you come back in between rounds, we have 1 minute to say what just happened, what you need to do, and I don't want anything bad to happen to you. We went to WK Nationals down in Delaware in the summer. I brought a lot of people, including my son. The craziest wake-up call was my kids competed on Friday. The adults showed up Friday, and they walked in, and the teenagers were going. Guys are getting, I mean, you've never seen anything. 16, 17-year-olds just
Cracking.
smashing each other. I mean, they're hopped up on testosterone and TikTok and fucking, I'm gonna, oh, these kids are going. And I was even like, holy shit. I'm like, I hope we train for tomorrow, because if the kids are going like this, god damn it. But they all walked in and they were like, oh, this is real.
Yep.
Like, none of them fought before. And they were like, oh, there's blood. Holy shit, that's a stretcher. Why is that kid going to the hospital? Like, that shit was real. And then the next day, they came in and they all fought. Win or lose, nobody got fucked up.
Nice.
Nobody walked out of there a mess. We saw gyms walking out of there with guys with their faces rearranged. And I was like, I will never put you in a position where you're going to be deformed, especially as an amateur. We're going to make sure, win or lose, you're going to be better for this experience, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure we maintain you. Because a lot of these guys throw these people in, and it's a meat grinder, man. And there's a responsibility I have. I say it all the time. I'm not here to be a part of your glorious failure. It's
No,
just-
yeah, you don't want to be the coach of somebody who just gets like put in the hospital. You don't want to be in that position.
I've been to the hospital too many times with athletes. I will be there again.
Mm-hmm.
But the only times we've ended up in the hospital have been big ones. Like, it wasn't the little ones. My one guy, Stein, he had to get staples in his forehead once. That was a headbutt. He didn't get fucked up. He just clacked heads with somebody. But I've, from the UFC to the hospital a few times, from Contender Series to the hospital a few times. That's different. You're a professional.
Because that's at the highest level.
You're getting paid.
Right.
This is how you make your living.
Right.
You understand the risk. That's different. But these amateurs that are putting their faith and trust in my advice and our system and everything, I take that very, very seriously. Because if you can't go to work or school tomorrow because of something I didn't take seriously, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, you got to carry that around, and you're human. That shows your human side, and that obviously has shown throughout this entire conversation. But that shows your human side to your students and to the people that you coach.
My human side is all I really. I'm like a broken record, I think, with the human side of it, because I've seen too many people sacrifice aspects of their humanity for this dream, and I'm like, yo, this is fighting, man. Like this is fighting. This is not something to lose your life over. I mean, I don't know what level of inspiration you really think you're creating here. Most of the people you're like mid-level professional fighters making okay money. Don't ruin whatever you have left in life for this. And I say this to you. And okay, so you fought, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was it like after when the lights go off and everybody goes home? Are you alone or are you with somebody?
I was alone.
And what is that like?
I was still kind of buzzing from the adrenaline a little bit, but then once it wore off, it was just kind of meh.
So, but no one's there.
No.
You're by yourself. What time in the morning are you still awake?
I was like 1, 2, 3 in the morning.
And it's like, wow, I did this thing, but nobody there. Now imagine that. Amplify that. Go to Bellator, go to UFC, go to PFL, go on TV. And then you're in the hotel room by yourself because you fucked up your life so that you could do this
You gave
thing.
up everything for
You
that.
gave up
Yeah.
everything for that moment. But you didn't give up everything. You gave up everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, man. You can't end up alone to do these things. Like, don't go travel to a place to go take on another person and then be alone at the end of it. Like, have people there. My last fight, I was 40 years old. I fought. It's a crazy story. I was sitting at a wedding and I was miserable. I'm the VP of this big fucking company and I'm fat. I'm just not living to the standard I want to live. My fighters are doing their thing, but I'm just not. And I'm at a wedding with my wife's friends and I'm looking at all these people and I'm going, I am not one of you. I don't like any of you. And it wasn't because they're bad people. I'm just like, there's fight in me.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to talk about the news and the weather in some non-substantial way. I want to have something meaningful fucking happen in my life right now.
Right.
So I started texting a promoter, my buddy Justin. I said, hey, Justin, you've been busting my balls about fighting for you. I said, my clock's ticking, man. What about we do one? And he was like, you going to be ready in 6 weeks? I said, probably not, but let's give it a shot. And then my wife goes, what'd you do? I said,
I just booked the fight.
I just booked a fight. Right. And she goes, motherfucker, finally. And I was like, this is why I married you.
There you
That's
go.
awesome.
That's why I married you.
There you
That's
go.
awesome.
She was like, you fucking need to do this so bad. And at 40 years old, I fought. I got shit kicked out of me by a young guy. Never got dropped. Didn't get finished. I finished the fight, but I blew my neck out. Like my body's a mess from what I've done over the years. I barely got through it, but I got through it and it grounded me again. But after the fight, so I'm walking out. My mom wasn't going to come. It was in New York City. My mom wasn't going to come. And my dad was talking about it, but I didn't know. And I'm walking out. My mom and dad are sitting there. My parents are divorced. They have not been in the same room with each other since I was 15.
Wow.
And they're sitting next to each other in the fucking front row. And my wife's there. And I'm like, holy shit. So I go, I do this fight, and I come out. And my parents were like, all right, I'm fucked up. My leg was trashed. We go back to the hotel. The hotel bar was closed. And I said, look, I just fought the last fight of my life. I need you to give me one of those bottles. And then you got to help me figure out food. And they were like, please take the bottle. They kept the restaurant. The restaurant's closed, but they let us have a table.
Mm-hmm.
They gave us a bottle of wine and they gave us a bottle of whiskey and they ordered takeout for us. My mom, my dad, my wife, and I, we sat there and we just talked. And it was like this weird, like everything in my life makes sense moment. And I was able to kill mom-dad issues.
Mm.
My wife and I cared about my wife in different, like there was just a bond there that like made that much more sense. My son was one at home with the grandparents, her parents, but, and I was able to bury my fight career and I was like, yeah, I don't need to do this anymore. I'm good. I'm actually really good. I don't need to fight anymore. I can be a coach now. And everybody noticed immediately that as a person, as a coach, I really started to shift at that point. And I was a much better coach because I didn't give a shit about me anymore. It was only about the people.
Mm-hmm.
There was no more like, oh, I might be able to do this. It was like, nope, you guys are doing it. And that all changed. And I stopped the job and I went back full time to the gym and completely changed the trajectory of my life because I just had to reground myself at some point. And that's why it's important that we take on the challenges that make sense to us. And we have to do them in a way that's consequential so that they're serious. And that's why boxing it for you is you never would have made the changes you talked about if you didn't know someone was going to try and punch you in the face.
You're right.
If you're going to have a fucking thumb war, you'd be like, whatever, I show up drunk and fat
Exactly,
and
yeah.
fucking high, who cares?
Yeah.
But when you're like, fuck, I might get a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's Golden Gloves, Ellis Mania, or the fucking UFC. Man, when you know there's another person that's been training to kill you, that's going to be standing across from you, it changes how you look at everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Show up early, stay late, eat different, run a little bit, do shit you never thought you were ever going to do again. And you don't mind it because you're like, wow, okay, this makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad I did it. I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah.
It was a cool experience. Now I know how to defend myself.
And I think
It's-
self-defense, honestly, everybody talks about defend yourself. Once you fought, you have a level of comfort with violence that the average person doesn't have, and other people that are recognize, and you get fucked with much less.
Yeah.
People just are like, oh, he probably will want to scrap with me. I'm not going to fuck with him.
Yeah, and then once you get a little bit of that cauliflower ear, nobody wants to go near you. You know, that's the instant stay away. Like, oh no, that guy, no, never mind. You're right. You know, buddy, you take that seat. I'll find another one.
I'll tell you a funny one. My buddy Mike, he actually came in tonight and signed his kid up, which is fucking wild. Mike started with me. Mike's my age. He used to train with me, and now I'm training his kid, which blows my mind. But once he said to me, it was really funny. He goes, yeah, man, I don't want to do jiu-jitsu. I said, why? He goes, I'm afraid of that cauliflower. I'm like, dude, nobody's going to smash your ears. He goes, yeah, man, but that's just contagious, isn't it? I was like,
What?
I love
What?
it. I love it. I love
I
it.
was like, it's not a virus, bro. They got to rub your fucking ears. It's like, it's not herpes. It's
Spray some alcohol. Spray some alcohol on it. It'll be fun.
He's like, yeah, it's contagious. I'm like, no, man.
Nah,
Not. He's
you're
like,
good.
oh, I thought all the wrestlers just got it because they're like close to each other. I'm like, yeah, they're really close. Swap and spit,
Sharing
motherfucker.
the old.
Holy
yeah.
crap, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That's like sounded like such a me statement to say. Like,
Right.
dude, I'm not doing that.
You're the guy. It's like another common one is I get someone will get large shin guards
Uh-huh.
and then they go, yo, man, you gave me 2 lefts. I'm like, you mean 2 large? You're like, yeah, okay, let's act like this didn't happen.
That's pretty funny.
Holy
Fuck.
crap.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen, it's like the you know, the beauty is when you take away, like when we stripped away the rank and we made this like more of just a community human environment, the interactions that we have on a day to day are just hilarious. I mean, the shit that gets said and done and the freedom people have to be themselves just makes, I think people in their most comfortable state is just hilarious.
Yeah.
Like when they're not trying to put up a wall or try and angle or whatever, and they're just comfortable being who they are. It's just fucking funny.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're all just a bunch of weirdos that want to be ourselves.
Yes.
And that's it.
Or something else. We want to be ourselves or we want to be something else, but at least like with the training thing, you're training to be that something else.
Yeah.
Like you're more clear about it.
You have
like
a
it's
purpose.
Not, yeah. Purpose is everything.
You have to have a purpose.
Yo, anybody dealing with like sobriety issues and all that kind of stuff, they always talk about AA, how it's always a higher purpose that gets them through. And I'm like, fuck, that gets us through everything, man.
Mm-hmm.
We're addicted to everything.
Yeah.
Like,
It's for sure. Whether it's your cell phone, alcohol,
yeah,
drugs, TV,
all of it.
everything.
Phones are crazy. Phones are crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
How old are you?
44.
All right. So you know life.
Pre-cell phone.
How old are you?
45.
Okay. So you guys know getting up and walking across to change the channel a little bit.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
little bit. A
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Like my kids, man, they don't. My 10-year-old knows like the old Verizon and Optimum menus to look at shows. You know, when you had to like scroll through, like he remembers that, but still he could watch what he wanted when he wanted.
Right.
My 5-year-old,
Just throw him the iPad kind of deal?
No, he just has zero patience
Ah.
because he doesn't. Commercials pop up on Prime now, and he's like, "What is this shit?"
Right.
I'm like, "It's a commercial." He's like, "How do you get rid of this thing?"
Yeah, yeah.
And he can't read. So the funny part about it is, like when it says skip, he doesn't know what the fuck it says.
Oh.
He's like, "What's that?" I don't know. He's like, why is it uploading? It broke. I'm like, no, it says skip. He's like, oh, like my older son would somebody asked me the other day, why does Brian read so much? I was like, well, he played a lot of video games. They're like, yeah, but wouldn't that make him not read? I was like, no, he couldn't read the subtitles in the video games, and that motivated him to learn how to read.
Oh shit.
There you go.
And then he realized, like, that's the secret. Like, that's the secret stuff.
Reading?
The stuff they don't want to say out loud.
Mhm.
You got to read that shit. And then he
Oh,
really
wow.
got into reading. And it's like a big thing. And his brother fake reads. Reed actually gets books. He goes, I'm reading. I'm like, you're 5. You have no idea what the fuck you're looking at. You can't even write your name yet. Like, come on, stop it. But he's always like, Brian, tell me what the TV is. Because like, he wants to know what the subtitles say and stuff. And yeah. It was funny. I'm looking, you have the Michael Myers up there.
Mhm.
So I'm a little nervous because Reed, my 5-year-old, is obsessed with Jason.
Okay.
Obsessed. He has a backpack for school with a Jason mask spray painted on the back.
Okay.
He has a Jason pin. He has a Jason skull cap. He has a baseball cap that has it on it.
Has he ever seen the movie?
He walks around the house with a fake machete he got at the Halloween store.
Nice.
And he's seen clips of it. And he's like, when Kevin Bacon got impaled through the bed,
Yeah.
he thinks that's the coolest thing ever. Like, I am in major trouble with this kid.
Dude, he's going to be awesome.
But he also likes the Barbie movie, so like he's balanced. He's balanced.
he's good. He's
There you
good.
go.
He likes
Okay,
you're fine.
this is the funny one. He goes, Daddy, he goes, Mommy really wants to watch the Barbie movie. I was like, Mommy want to watch it or you want to watch it? He goes, No, I don't want to watch it. Mommy wants to watch it. Right, Mom?
Help me out.
He's like, Mom, I'll sit with you because you shouldn't watch it alone.
Oh.
Damn, dude. Okay.
Kid's got plans and schemes.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
smart.
I'll figure it out.
He's smart. And he walks around with a machete. So, like, you know,
Yeah. Don't
gotta
fuck
be
with him.
careful. No, you can't. You know, Reed.
Yeah.
Reed's crazy.
Yeah.
Shit is crazy. The kid's just
He's this tall. He'll beat up everybody.
That's great.
He'll beat us all up.
Yeah.
But he's a sweetheart.
And then chop you up.
yeah, chop you up and then put sprinkles on his ice cream and ride a unicorn off into the sunset.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh my God, he's crazy.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much for hanging out. I really
Yes.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no, I appreciate the opportunity. I hope my story wasn't too all over the place. I was a little choppy, I think, with the delivery today.
No, not at
no,
all.
no,
It was
no,
it was
no.
cool to hear about all the and I think you're right that you do need to sort of like chronologically write it down
Yeah.
in some way or another because it seems like you've been in a lot of places and you've done a lot of different things. So it's you owe it I mean, not to say you owe it to yourself, but you might owe it to yourself to, you know, to maybe do a memoir type situation.
Yeah,
or,
I got to document it. It's funny. I have this dude, Tristan, I'm training, right? Tristan came in, he did the podcast
Yep.
here. So we were talking and he was asking me about fighting the other day. And I was starting to go into how this industry is and how crazy it can be and how many degenerates get involved in it and how it gets weird. And he was like, man, I think you just scared me off. I was like, yeah, if I ever wrote a book about what I really know goes on in this sport and who's done what and said what, somebody's going to try and shoot me.
I was just going to say you have to go to hiding.
Like, I
immediately.
literally, like, when I'm done, I'll do it, but I won't be able to be in the space if I say what I know. The good part is a lot of the guys that I could talk about have passed. I mean, it's sad that they've passed, but it's good that they're not around to kill me.
Yeah.
But I did have one guy, I did write a story because I was starting. Somebody was like, oh, just tell your story. And I was like, all right, I'll tell my story. So I wrote a couple blog posts, and a guy I hadn't heard from in 20 years sends me an email and he goes, bro, I don't drink anymore and I got kids. Can you please take that down? And I was like, respect, brother. It's coming down. I'm
Wow.
sorry.
Wow.
So yeah, all of our actions can have consequences at times. And I don't want to be the person that creates bad consequences for people that may have been young and wild,
yeah,
but are
yeah,
like,
yeah.
cool now. Hey, I was young and wild. I got
Same.
shit that I could say. That kid Alex Stein, he comes in, whoo, stories he could tell. He knew me when I had a mohawk up to here, man.
That's awesome.
Oh,
That's awesome.
So tell people where they can find your gym and then how they can find you online.
all right. So it's actually a cool time because not only do we have the academy, you can find us at killerbcombatsports.academy. That's the website. That is our school in Oakhurst. We are also launching Killer Bee Online. So it's actually killerbee.online will be an online version of the academy. So you could actually get our full curriculum.
Nice.
And we give you an outline of how you can train. It's to augment training if you're training somewhere else, or you could do it at home if you really just want to learn our system. And then the Killer Bee Combat Sports Association is also launching, and that'll be Killer Bee CSA. And we have a network of gyms around the country that would like to teach within our methodology, and they would like to start creating more of a sense of community that we fostered here in Oakhurst. So, yeah, you can find us in Oakhurst, and soon you're going to be able to find us online and at other facilities across the country. So it's a developing situation. So around March, we're really going to be launching a lot of stuff. Pre-sales start actually within about a week, and then we're really going to start pushing a lot of stuff online. So, and we really appreciate the space here, guys. This is great studio. We've been talking about a lot of things we want to do with it, and this podcast is a great opportunity to keep sharing our stories and giving more substance and talking about the purpose and all the different things, so that when people get involved, it's not just a surfing involvement. They'll understand the players and the different aspects. And we really wouldn't be able to do it to the degree we are if you guys didn't create this thing. And that's why I was bringing up the fact that, you guys might feel like you have to eat shit at times, but you guys really are providing a great platform and opportunity for businesses like mine to do stuff. And, I hope other people take advantage of the situation here and recognize, you're not just two cloud of minds, but you guys are two savvy podcasters with a great platform for people to grow their business.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very
It means
kind.
a lot.
Very
Yeah.
kind. I'll be cutting that up and making a promo right away. Right,
Stamp that.
there you go. Exactly. Right at the end.
I'm good for the clips.
Beautiful. Beautiful soundbite. We're
No,
gonna be
I
hearing
really
that one.
I really do appreciate it though. So I'm
We're
always-
proud to help. We're proud to
yeah,
help.
man. We're rooting for the future success of everything we're doing. So it's awesome.
Definitely.
So thank you
Likewise.
guys. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yes,
Awesome.
sir. And guys, like always, Two Clouded Mind Show on YouTube. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. We are all over social media at the Two Clouded Mind Show. If you want to stalk us individually, I'm at Little Guy Chris 28.
DC in the city on all social media.
Ryan Wright 732 on Instagram, plus Killer Bee CSA on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere.
Awesome. Thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Stay clouded.